top fives are very popular. On YouTube, they're used as Amazon marketing schemes. I just watched over here on YouTube, and I don't think I'll be able to bring it back up successfully, but the top 5 leak detectors, refrigerant leak detectors, and it's made by someone who used a program to translate into English, like where it says, "Oh, leak detector, Elitech B400 is the best," that sort of thing. You sound like you're like a cyborg or something. So obviously the leak detectors that they chose were really strange, top 5, although they did have Infocon, they did have Field Piece, but there were some of those bargain ones too. And I just have this feeling, guys, I don't want to say it because it almost makes me upset that these guys are lying to us. It could be the case that we're being lied to. It could be the case that the #1 best leak detector ever made isn't the Fancy Go leak detector that's $36 on Amazon. It's possible. We are looking into it. But that's neither here nor there. Top 5. The top 5 for today will be the top 5 things that I hate to see at a job site. And I'm picturing in my head a commercial install job site. Now, I was never really a commercial guy, but we did several commercial jobs with light commercial equipment, 7.5 tons, 10 tons. But these are the top 5 things that basically I didn't want to see when I went to the job site. Okay, number 1. The number 1 thing that I hated to see the most was our friends from the government, OSHA. If OSHA was on the job site, my advice is when you see them, like if you drive it, if you're lucky enough to come in after OSHA. Now, those of us who came in before OSHA, use your hidden underground tunnels to leave the job site. Go up on the roof where you think they won't find you, whatever. But if you're lucky enough to pull in after them, you pull in. I remember pulling into a job site. This actually happened. Pulled into a job site with my brother. We're in the van. We see the OSHA guys, and we just back right back out and leave and drive away. And now I'm not saying that OSHA isn't needed. Well, maybe I am a little bit. Like we should lean on the government less, maybe. I don't know. I just hate to see the government checking up on us because it gives me the heebie-jeebies. And, it's probably best practices to say that they do check up on us. Oh, wait. Don't I have some kind of theme song now? The best practices theme song? Best practices means doing the right thing all the time. Doing the right thing all the time. Doing the right thing all the time. Especially Friday at 4:30. That's good. Yeah, that's quality right there. I made that myself on my guitar, or guitar, if you will. That's me singing, guys. I'm quite the singer. Move over, Lionel Richie, Kenny Rogers. Here comes Zack. So it probably is the wrong thing to say, but that's exactly what I thought. Let's be honest. That's what I thought. If I saw those dudes when I drove up to the job site, I'd like, let's take an early lunch. My brother would be like, it's 8:47 in the morning. That's what time we get to work, by the way, 8:47. Let's just go ahead and take a brunch. Why not, right? We can learn what brunch is. None of our restaurants were open that day. So OSHA is my number 1. That is the one that, let's just get out of here. Let's get out of here. Because thinking back on some of the stuff that we've done, including holding my father's legs while he dangled over the side of a 3-story apartment building so he could drill in a bath fan cap. I'm sure OSHA would not have liked that. Or our drop cords that there were 17 plugged into the T-pole running 400 feet, undersized, to a circular saw, or even better yet, like a table saw inside of a job site. Just every time you hit it, if you had a thermal imager, you see the drop cord start glowing red. That's the kind of stuff that happens all the time. In fact, thinking about drop cords, I don't want to dwell too long on OSHA, but it's funny that when you go to like an residential install job site, I remember some at the beach because there would be a lot of big houses at the beach and you'd have a lot of people working on them at the same time. There were like these 3-story either duplexes or triplexes, which are just 3 different families live there. I guess that's how they can afford it. You have 3 different people living on the front row of the beach where the house costs millions of dollars. We share the cost. and there would be like the framer dudes. La framers would be on like the first floor, and then we'd be on the second floor. There'd be plumbers on the third floor. Everybody would have their drop cords plugged in, and every time the framers would like fire up either like a big saw, one of the larger 15 amp saws, the breaker would trip, and you had to walk back out there again and reset the breaker. And it would happen all day long. Not good. I feel like I'm about to sneeze too. Fight it. Fight it. Okay. So let's move on to number 2, and I'll forget about that sneeze. Number 2 will be poor parking. Boy, this really irks me. It may not bother you guys at all, but the parking situation on jobs is often horrendous. I remember, and this is not just commercial, this could be residential too, but for commercial, it was the worst. And when I think about bad commercial parking, I think about working downtown. For me, that's downtown Wilmington, but I'm pretty sure this will translate into most moderately sized cities on up. You get there, and you have a commercial building, and then there's another building either connected directly to it. Like there's just a row of buildings that have no alleys in between them. And then there's like 10 guys with 10 different vans there to work. And you got to park every which way. And then every day, as you see parking enforcement walking along, you either have to move your car again. And sometimes, even when you legit park, you can't, and you have to pay for parking. Sometimes you can get a pass. There's ways to get permits where you can park if you're working on something. But you may not have time for that. Or maybe you're working one day or something. And some of the parking spots, you have to move every 2 hours. I got several tickets in my van downtown Wilmington, and I don't remember ever paying them, but nothing ever happened. So I'm pretty sure there's a warrant for my arrest. Maybe? I don't know. There could be a warrant for my arrest. I'm not sure. I probably shouldn't have said that because some of my haters, hey, you haters out there, there's some fodder for your cannons. No one hates me. That's ridiculous. Why would you hate an air conditioning podcast? That's ridiculous. As he stared at the camera. Okay. I hate the parking situation. Parking's horrible, and you got to park so far away. And then when you do park far away, you end up having to carry like half your van up there. Like if you're brazing, everybody knows how much crap you have to take out when you're brazing. You have to carry like a copper tray, some copper tubing, insul tube, the torches. You always forget like the striker is still in the van or something like that. I don't know. It's just a pain in the butt. So let's go to number 3. Angry, and no one be offended by this, please. Let me just start with that. You know, it's going to end well when I say that. Angry transplant foreman. Angry transplant foreman means that we're in a nice southern town. All right? We're in a nice southern town. Everybody talks with a drawl, except for me, evidently, because all the other southerners say I sound like I'm from the north. Believe it or not. You guys comment. What do you think? Because I have all these guys, you know, I've lived here my whole life. And these guys come in and say, are you from up north? You sound northern. I'm like, what is this? I'm from the south. I'm a redneck, guys. Hey, I'm a redneck. What are you talking about? I'm a redneck. Forget about it. I'm a redneck. Can't you tell? So, angry transplant foreman, though. Angry transplant foreman moved down here from like Brooklyn or something like that. And I'm always saying this, and I'm not trying to make fun of any group of people. It's because, in fact, I like these guys. It's because it happened a lot. I have legit life experience built around this happening. So there would be like all these guys, and a lot of them were like the foreman for, I don't know, whatever reason that is. Some of them weren't. Some of them were like whatever. But they would come from like New York City, New York State, and they would be working down here for a company, and they were like super angry all the time. And I think because like that's what it's like to live up there, because I've heard some northern people and they just talk like that. It's not that they're mean, it's just that there's no frills. Let's call it no frills conversational style. And it's kind of funny because it's like watching a TV show about people flipping houses, and you have the guys that are just so angry at the subs that like aren't there that day, like we're supposed to show up. They're just like cussing and stuff like that. I remember a few of them. They were cussing and like slinging stuff around. I mean, they weren't all like that. We had one guy, I remember Artie. Good old Artie. He had this mustache like this. I called him Super Mario. And he was great. I liked Artie. And he was a craftsman. And I'll tell you this, a lot of those guys, they were craftsmen. They weren't like us Southern guys who don't have any sort of formal training or apprenticeship programs. Like we just like go out and start working and we're qualified. A lot of these guys had to go through certain programs and they're more well trained than we are because they have certain structures set up when they enter an occupation. It's not just like you wake up and you become that thing. You're actually training X amount of years and then you move up the ladder, which, you know, I have pros and cons with that because some of that stuff is, you know, I won't get into it. I won't get into it or the offending will really start. But there are pros and cons. And one of the pros is the craftsmanship. These guys know what they're doing. So that's always good. Except for a few of them. You know, a little bit of a chip up there. Think they know everything. But that's not just a transplant thing. That's an everybody thing. So, in fact, I shouldn't say I didn't even like them. Some of them were entertaining. So that's probably shouldn't be on this list, but I just want to talk about it, really. So let's go to number 4. Number 4 thing that I do not want to see on a job site is anybody in a suit. Anybody in a suit, and that goes for pantsuits, for the women, any kind of real estate agent, anybody anybody selling general liability or workman's comp insurance. These guys will come up there. It's like, hey, I'm with, I don't know, Liberty Mutual. I don't remember. Last commercial I saw, the Limu Emu. They'll come up there and says, what kind of insurance do you have? And I remember just like being so mean to one of these salesman guys because it's just like annoying. They're like coming to where we work. We're having to stop working and go over there and talk to them. And we don't want to talk about any stupid insurance. Like we even have insurance. Wink, wink. No, just kidding. I remember this guy left and the other guy turns to me and goes, you were pretty mean to that guy. I'm like, I wasn't trying to be mean, but you know, they always come to where we're working and they ruin stuff. So I'm angry at them. I was like 19 at the time. Sorry, I was a jerk. I was a jerk to the guy. I probably was. I wish I could see tape of that. You know, whenever I die and go to heaven, the first thing I'm going to ask is, do you have some VCR tapes of some of the stuff that I did when I was younger so I can watch them? Because I'd really like to see how it actually happened compared to where it's at in my memory here. I'm just curious. But, you know, anybody in a suit on the job site, like real estate agents, because you have to start being quiet so they can talk, so they can show a tour of something. They'll have a bunch of guys, like these people that are going to invest in the property, like it's a spec property maybe, or maybe it's the people who are buying it that just come in and meet with the contractors and go over where they want the faucets or what color the drapes are going to be or blah, blah, whatever. And you got to turn off all your saws. You have to back away and everybody's got to do their thing and then you can get back to work. Or do something quiet, in which you guys know nothing is quiet. Even the things that I could do quieter, I didn't. Like putting duct together, putting some self-tappers into a piece of ductwork. Just use your drill. No, I want to use an impact driver. Blah, 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 blah. That's what I want to do. I could go, whoop, but I'm going to go blah, 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 blah instead. And then there's going to be somebody over there, and then you're going to see the suits all looking at each other, and then they're going to look over where I'm at, and then you're going to see one of the suits that's obviously the main one pointing at a different one. And then that different one's going to come over there and go, hey guys, oh, everything's looking really good here, by the way. Can you guys maybe go eat lunch or something? And then we're like, I'm not hungry. I want to get back to work. Like, well, you know, these guys are meeting here. And we're like, yeah, we see them. Blah, 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 blah. I said, will you guys just shut up? Okay. And that's, thanks for getting to the crux of the matter. That's what you tell the suits. And then you leave and go eat lunch or whatever, even if you already ate lunch. Who cares? I ate plenty of long lunches, and when I was younger, I wouldn't mind dodging a little bit of work. Is that wrong? Is it wrong? I skipped a lot of school, too, to go to a pool hall to smoke cigarettes and play pool, obviously, which I was really good at the time, and now I suck at. It degenerates over time. All right, number 5. The 5th and final thing I don't want to see at the job site is, of course, the inspector, another representative from the government there to make sure everything's all right. Remember our rule, guys. Remember the motto we want to guide our lives. Our failures will be our own inspectors. If we do something wrong and we run the wrong wire and it burns down a house, the giant lawsuit will be our lesson learned. We don't need an inspector to come in and say, yeah, that's a number 8. You need a number 6 or something like that, or even worse. Hey, that's a number 10, and you need a number 6. That's 10 kW going to a 10-2 wire. I don't think that's going to work. And you'll be like, yeah, it'll be fine. And then you'll say the priceless thing, I've done this for years. And then you're going to guarantee you're an idiot. Because, I've done this for years, going back to I don't need any actual reasons. I'm just going to use that I haven't screwed up bad or haven't been caught yet as my justification. You don't want that. You don't want that, man. You got 10 kW, you need to be running 6 wire. Everyone knows that. Don't be putting aluminum on the condenser. All the time that happens. Aluminum wire contracts and expands. It gets loose. It causes fires. And I myself don't like fires. But inspectors do. They do some good. They really do. I just didn't like seeing them. It's like having a cop riding your butt when you're in traffic. It just makes you uneasy. It makes you feel like, what did I do wrong? You might not have done anything wrong, but I'm just paranoid about what I could have done wrong, or this guy's going to find something and I'm going to have to be angry at him because he found something and I don't think it's right. I've had a lot of good inspectors over the years, a lot of bad ones. I've told some of the stories about arguing with some of them about stuff that just didn't make any sense, stuff that was code, but in the application that we were doing, it made no sense to actually follow through on it, and you could see it made no sense. But it's what are you going to say? Don't do your code stuff. Don't bust us on that. But there's a lot of good ones out there, and if you can befriend an inspector, especially if you're in a place where you're going to see him over and over again, befriend that inspector, because instead of failing you, he might just call you up and say, hey, why don't you run over here and fix this real quick and I'll pass this job. That's a big difference between having to come back on a different day or having to hold up progress. Because if you're one of the trades, plumbing, electrical, mechanical, about to forget our own trade. If you're one of the trades, then it might really push things back as far as people coming in and insulating and drywalling stuff to have you put off an inspection or get another inspection. That could be pretty detrimental, and you don't want that, you don't want that Yankee yelling at you. I'm just kidding. I mean, I love that. My family's Yankee, so anybody that's really legitimately offended by that, my family's from New York. A whole half of them are from New York, and we love them dearly. But it is a vastly different culture, and it's interesting to see the cultures come together because the Southerners will be offended by the Northerners because of the way that they talk, and the Northerners will think the Southerners are slow because of the way they talk. And it's just kind of funny because neither one of those things are true. The Yellow Jacket Titan Max digital manifold provides the easiest path to system measurements. This 4-valve manifold provides fast and accurate measurements for refrigeration and AC systems. The high-resolution backlit touchscreen display erases the need for multifunction buttons and provides clear graphical and digital measurements. It also features internal data logging. Connect via Bluetooth to the WideJack View app or MeasureQuick app for further analysis. Visit yellowjacket.com for more information.
Hello, Zack.
This is Zack. Who is this?
Zack, this is Marco. How are you?
Marco, you said you were going to call.
I did say I was going to call, but I'm going to make it way faster than I said.
Well, you said 12 minutes. All you got to do is make it about 83% of what you were.
Yeah, no, I only need 4 or 5 minutes.
All right. Shoot. What's up?
Well, just wanted to touch base. I work for a supply house. We are mostly hydronic heat, and I just wanted to say thank you. I've learned a tremendous amount from you and the rest of the crew here. It's wonderful.
Well, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate that. I think it's because we have dudes in the chat like yourself, like someone to call in to kind of help pull the knowledge together. So that is really cool. What is your position at the parts house? How much can you tell us? Because sometimes you want to keep some of the details private. So what do you do?
No, I'm happy to share. We're mostly a hydronics supply house. I do a lot of tech support.
Oh, hey, we needed a boiler person before. You could be our boiler person.
I'm not prepared to say that I'm an expert, but hopefully I can help out anytime somebody needs me. We do a lot of boilers, and I'm very heavily involved in that side of things.
I heard you say boiler. Where are you at?
I am in Boston, as you
probably man.
guessed.
Oh, that's fantastic. We needed some more Boston representation.
But we're getting more and more into the heat pump side of things up here. So I'm learning a lot from you guys.
Oh, that's pretty cool that you're getting into heat pumps. First of all, I had to go through like a 5 second period in my brain where I was just imagining you running around going, "No more, no more." I don't know if you watched the Red Sox ever with No More Garcia Parr, but it's very good.
That was very much me. That's pretty accurate.
Hey, they finally won something. Man, it's great. Nah. But you were saying you get into heat pumps up there, you do a lot of boiler stuff, and I'm guessing when you say that, you're saying you sell a bunch of that, you know. So when you get heat pumps, when you're talking about heat pumps, what are you selling up there for heat pumps?
Well, without getting too much into the brand names, really what we're starting to see is the utilities are really pushing the high efficiency heat pumps. We do some mini splits, but we're starting to see some of the inverter technology with the conventional system roll out.
So that's sort of what I was thinking you were going to say because they're more tailored to the colder environment over there. So does that go along with maybe a decline in the sale of boiler heat, or do you see that still staying steady?
Well, we're seeing it stay steady. A lot of it is utility based. There are a lot of rebates for the high efficiency stuff, but we're starting to see some of the utility stuff switch over. Right now, there's a $10,000 rebate
Good.
for somebody that converts to a high efficiency heat pump.
$10,000.
$10,000, yes, sir.
Now, do you know, as far as this rebate, what does that entail? What is a high efficiency heat pump in their eyes?
I would have to check the exact numbers, but I want to say that it's got a SEER rating of 16 or 17% and an EER of 10.
Well, that's not too awful high. I mean, that's not crazy high. 16's, almost normal these days. If we're at 14, are you guys? I guess you guys are maybe still at 13. I don't remember offhand.
Yeah, we're in the process of upgrading that. Yes.
Oh man, well that's pretty interesting how you're seeing it change. Now, how long have you worked in the parts house?
Well, I've been in the parts houses for about 28 years now, but we're starting to see more and more HVAC. New England is a very traditional hydronic heat area.
What about oil stuff?
We do quite a bit of oil in the New England area. There is still a tremendous oil customer base out here.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I had a grandmother that passed, but she lived in Rochester, New York. She had an oil furnace. A lot of the people that I knew that were up there had oil furnaces. And I was just wondering, as far as that goes, you figure that would be on the decline with, we're trying to move toward quote unquote green or whatever you want to call it.
It is. It is. We have some cities and towns here that have actually put bans on natural gas installations.
Natural gas
for new construction or remodels where 50% or more is being remodeled.
Oh man, I always thought of natural gas as like the most environmentally friendly gas you could get beyond LP or even oil. And that's
no, you're right, but we live in it's kind of a unique area here. The politics are what they are, but we have a lot of people that are super environmentalists, and we're really looking at the electrification of everything, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely room for that. I mean, with heat pumps and everything like that, I know they're able to deal with the cold. I know especially they can be built for the cold, like these inverters, they go down to a lower temperature. So I know you can do it, but I mean, a lot of times people get stuck in a certain way.
No doubt. You know what you can't do? I'm not built to work outside on these things when it's super cold like it gets around here.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a pansy, and I don't want to do that.
Well, I don't really blame you. It doesn't, I live near Wilmington, North Carolina, or, a couple climate zones away from you. And when it snows and we have to go out there and work on heat pumps, it's a lot of misery just because of the cold, and your fingers end up locking up. And, if you're like me and you're in your 40s, they really lock up and it feels arthritic almost. And then it starts to melt when you're sitting on it. It's just a misery. So I can definitely understand that. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supply House is a reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Have you seen Interplay Learning, like the stuff they do that's virtual learning?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So what are you saying that for? I mean,
So-
Interplay, a lot of people like that now. That's what
Well,
Brian's doing almost. It's not interactive. What he's doing, it's like
So
videos, but it's
So
similar.
I have a thing with Interplay so Goodman's inverter unit, in order to sell it, you're supposed to take a course.
Goodman has
well,
an inverter?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's like a
Shut the
man.
front door. Okay.
Yeah. So so in order to get certified, you have to do this Interplay Learning interactive class, right? This course.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? I've complained about it from the very beginning because it's like it has nothing to do with inverters, and it would be something that somebody would learn the very first day at HVAC on any install. It's just, I was like, this is offensive. This is one time I'm going to say that you're wasting somebody's time by making them do this.
So it's like a basics course?
Oh, before basics. Is there
I wonder
something
why they're
before
doing
that?
that.
I don't know, but it's terrible. It's
I don't know if
terrible.
Interplay, I don't know if you have to have a subscription for it, but it's almost like I'd like to try one out to see what it's all about.
Well, if I can find a link to that one, I'll send it to you.
Okay. I remember hearing about it. I've never done one of those, but I know there's a few people out there to do this virtual training now.
I'm sure that there's some good Interplay stuff. I'm not putting them down, but just my experience with it wasn't good.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people like it. I don't know if it's just a mismatched video to the application. I mean, Interplay, I don't know, Goodman asked them for a video or something. You don't know how it all works out.
It has to do with marketing. Marketing set it up. But
That's
anyway,
how it happens.
Yeah, marketing. If you want to change something in the industry, you have to get marketing to do it.
Let's see. I have a question relating to HVAC shop talk. What was the hardest on-call to deal with? On-call, I don't know how you define on-call, because someone like you or I would be on-call for eternity. Yeah.
For life.
So I don't know. What did you ever get like a middle of the night one or anything like that? Anything memorable?
You know, I'm going to tell you what I see is that young people are different patient-wise. Now, of course, we've always had renters that are less patient than homeowners because they feel entitled. You know, I pay rent. You need to get my stuff fixed now. But young people have grown up. Really, what I'll blame it on is computers. Computers have taken away everybody's patience. You push a button and Amazon comes to the door, and it builds this mindset. And our fast-paced life, which I'm willing to go along with it, I'm not complaining or crying about it, but they've lost their patience. And there's people that call at 11 o'clock at night, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and say, you know, do you have anybody on call? And, you know, I want to say, well, you know, if your 80-year-old mother-in-law is on an oxygen tube and having trouble, you know, I'm on my way. Or if your kid is handicapped or sick, or if you're having a real problem, I'm on my
Ted,
way.
you know they are. You know that all that house is full of handicapped children.
But you get over there, and they have two systems, and one of them is fine, but they can't go upstairs because, you know, that the thing is, I learned to disguise those questions to ask, you know, before I say I have anybody on call or not, and I'll just say, you know, well, we're full tonight, but I can get somebody to you pretty quick tomorrow, but that's the best I can do. But I'm just astonished that somebody, like, I'll answer the phone, but I think they should be saying, hey, I know it's late, I just wanted to get in line, instead of, you know, can you get over here right now?
Yeah.
Now, when it's 20 degrees, yeah, we get the calls, and yes, we will go.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you know, and I'll ask those questions still, but if you have absolutely no heat source, no fireplace, no space heater, no nothing, no anything, and you're about to have to pick up and pack up and go to a motel, and you're worried your pipes are going to, like I say, if it's 20 degrees, I draw the line, and I'll work all I can, and I'll go if one of my guys can't, or we'll all go. We'll try, but
How
you
often
know,
does that happen?
a couple times a year, so it's not bad, but it seems like it does. Now the other thing where they're just unrealistic with their expectations, in my opinion, that happens fairly often. There's been several of those this summer, but as far as the one, I think you're asking how long does it happen where I actually will go. That's
Right.
probably just a couple times a year. I mean, I'm not in the refrigeration business, so I don't have to go save your $100,000 worth of beef at Bilo, or
Hmm.
Bilo's gone, but I'm not, uh, but if you have a story, and I can tell by your tone of voice that you're not just trying to play a game and get your winning, but if you have an elderly person, I'm a little, my parents are both gone, so I'm pretty sensitive to that. If you have somebody, but I'm going to tell you though, this may slip us off the subject for a second, but I have heard more excuses or reasons about my dog is old and it's
Really?
hot.
Hmm.
Dude, I hear at least 5 or 6 to 1 on that. I would be fine, but I'm worried about my dog. He's 14 years old and he's panting and laying on the floor. I have heard more of that than I'm worried about me or my child. Now, the newborn thing or the 8-month-old pregnant wife, sorry, man, I'm going. That's that. I'm going. If you got a newborn child in the house and you have no air conditioning, that is bad. Now, I will
Hmm.
go through the questions first, and if you have an upstairs and downstairs unit and only one of them is off, I think you can make do.
Absolutely.
Set up camp, whatever. But if you don't, and the other thing is, if you have an 8 month pregnant wife or 7, whatever, if your wife is pregnant and there's no air, um, and part of the reason for that is my wife finds out about it and finds out that I didn't go, you know, that could be a problem too. So there are those few things that I'm going or somebody's going.